Not too long ago, Ford introduced a Mustang Mach to the world and it divided the car world, but not right down the middle. Many wanted to applaud Ford for taking a step in the right direction towards helping the environment, but so many felt that it was a step in the wrong direction concerning the iconic name of Ford's flagship, the Mustang. Well, Ford's about to release another Mustang Mach to the world. How well will it be received? Will it add value to the Mustang name? Well, step into the lounge and let's take a look at some history and talk about what happened to the Mustang Mach 1.
Ford's done it again. They've revived yet another classic Mustang model. This time, it's the Mach 1. The name sounds rather pretentious, doesn't it? I mean, that's the speed of sound, 767 miles per hour. Clearly the car isn't that fast. But when manufacturers named their cars, they wanted to give them an attitude that matched the perceived performance potential of the car they built. Mach 1 is fast, so that means that a Mustang with this branding must be fast as well. Manufacturers did that a lot, especially in the 50s and 60s. Think about it. In 1969, Ford had their Boss lines of Mustang, Boss 302 and Boss 429. Boss is a slang word for awesome, or in charge, or bitchin'. Dodge had the Dart Swinger. AMC had the Javelin. It's all a play on words. Well, way back in 1965, Ford attached the name Mach 1 to the Mustang. Introduced to the world as a concept car, it was a radical coupe that featured a chopped top, dual pop-open fuel filters on the sail panels, and a unique hatchback design. A massive side scoop adorned the side, and an aggressive-looking ducktail spoiler and center exiting exhaust tips finished off the look out back. The front of the car was reminiscent of the Mustang II prototype, and the wheel-tire combination was as unique as the rest of the car. Under the hood rested a 427 big block V8. The car was updated in late 1966 to look more like the 67-68 Mustangs. It was a much more subdued design and could almost pass for a production car. The front end was given a more conventional grille and headlight design, and the rear was cleaned up with sheet metal that resembled the production 67-68 car right down to the taillights. However, the center exiting exhaust was upgraded to quad tips. That car inspired the Mach 1 package that was to follow in 1969, and what a package it was. Now, a Shelby or Boss 302 or a 429 was nice to have, but they came in very limited quantities and brought a premium price. The Mach 1 would be the mass-produced performance package for the Mustang, more like a grand touring car than anything, with a good mix of drag racer filling in the gap between an optioned-out GT package and the top-of-the-line Shelby. The Boss 302 was the track car, and the Boss 429 was built for, well, they had to put the engine in one of their cars to make it legal for Grand National Racing, so the Mustang ended up being the one. It's still one of my favorite cars, though. Back to the Mach. Offered in the sport roof only, the Mach 1 featured a deluxe interior with extra sound deadening, high back seats, and wood grain accents. The outside included a Mach 1 side stripe, rear stripe, semi-gloss black hood design with a non-functional hood scoop, or a ram air option in the form of a shaker hood scoop, along with an optional front and rear spoiler and rear window louvers. Under the hood, Mach 1 owners had the option of a 351 Windsor with a 2 or 4 barrel carb option, 390 FE engine, or the 428 Cobra Jet or Super Cobra Jet if you click the drag pack box in the option sheet. All Mach 1s came with quad exhaust tips except for the 351 2-barrel cars. They could be had with an automatic or 4-speed top loader, and rear end choices and gear ratios were numerous. Overall, the Mach 1 was a complete package that could pretty much satisfy the needs of any muscle car enthusiast. For 1970, the Mach 1 option was pretty much the same, The trim was changed up a bit to go with the updated body style. The 351 Windsor was dropped in favor of the 351 Cleveland, although some early 70 models came from the factory with leftover Windsor engines from '69. The 390 was also dropped, leaving the 428 as the only big block choice. Another change for 1970 was the availability of the shaker hood scoop option for the 351 engine. Throughout 1970, the Mach 1 continued in popularity and made a decent name for itself on the street. 1971 brought some massive changes for the Mustang, and we do mean massive because the newly designed Mustang was huge compared to its predecessor. The new president of Ford at the time was Bunky Knudsen, who had a thing for gigantic cars, and unfortunately the Mustang was not immune from the size increase. However, the Mach 1 continued on. It was, for all intents and purposes, the same package as the previous 2 years. Interior upgrades, exterior upgrades and graphics, and performance upgrades. The base engine was the smaller 302 2-barrel, with 3 different 351 Cleveland engines offered next in the form of a 2-barrel, a 4-barrel, and 351 Cobra Jet that was added mid-year. The big block offering was the 385 Series 429 engine. You had the choice of the 429 Cobra Jet or the 429 Super Cobra Jet. The 351 and 429 engines had a fully functional ram air hood as an option. 1972 brought one big change, and that's the dropping of the 429 engine, leaving the 302 as the base with 3 choices of 351, the 2-barrel, the 4-barrel Cobra Jet, and now the 351 high output or HO, a solid lifter engine with low compression and open chamber heads. It was sort of a defanged version of the previous year Boss 351 engine. Virtually everything else remained the same. For 1973, the Mustang received a slight facelift and the graphics were changed up a bit. The biggest news was the 351 HO was dropped, leaving the 302 2-barrel as the base engine again. The 351 2-barrel was the next step up, followed by the 351 4-barrel, and then the 351 Cobra Jet. The mid-1970s was a time of uncertainty for the muscle cars, and many manufacturers either killed their muscle cars or placed them on extreme downsizing program. Entered the Mustang 2 Mach 1. Unfortunately, many see the Mustang 2 as a blight on the reputation of the Mustang, but to be honest, the entire American automotive industry was reeling from the oil crisis, high fuel costs, and a federal demand for low emissions and increased fuel mileage. The Mustang 2 stood in the gap and kept the Mustang name alive. The 1974 Mustang 2 didn't offer a V8, so the engine of choice for the Mach 1 was the 2.8-liter V6 rated at 105 horsepower. Aside from the special trim and badging, it wasn't much different from the standard Mustang 2. But get this, it outsold the previous 4 years combined of Mach 1s before it. Don't forget, the 1974 Mustang 2 was a big hit. It almost sold 386,000 units the first year. The 302 was brought back for 1975, and the Mach 1 continued with the 302 until the Mustang 2 model run ended in 1978. The Mach 1 wouldn't see the light of day again until 2003. The Mustang was well into its edge design and was pretty popular thanks in part to the 2001 Bullet. The dual overhead cam 4.6 had pretty much come into its own and was a pretty stout power plant, albeit a bit high-tech for the old-school pushrod crowd. In 2003, Ford launched the Mustang Cobra that we all know and love as the Terminator. They also brought back the Mach 1. I have to say that this was a pretty cool car to bring back, and Ford did it right. It was faster than GT, but not quite as formidable as the Cobra. The Mach 1 fit nicely in the lineup with a 305 horsepower dual overhead cam 4.6-liter V8. The stripes in the hood, as well as the shaker hood scoop, were a callback to the 1969 and 70 Mach 1, and the wheels were a nice tribute to the Magnum 500 wheels. Inside was a modern interior with high-back seats that resembled the 69-70 seats with their comfort weave upholstery. The functioning ram air system was the cherry on top that really made this car a popular buy. These cars ran the 2003 and 2004 model year alongside the Cobra. They weren't as fast as the Cobra, but at 305 horsepower, the Mach 1 had plenty of power to melt the tires at will. As far as handling goes, it was slightly better than a Mustang GT, but it was in no way considered a track car. All of this brings us to 2020, and Ford is bringing back the Mach 1 for the 2021 model year. Shelby is discontinuing the GT350, so there's a gap in performance vehicles in the Ford lineup. This Mach 1 comes in two versions, standard and the handling package. The base of every Mach 1 is the bullet engine that uses the GT350 intake manifold and throttle body, but it still makes 480 horsepower and 420 pound-feet of torque. The standard transmission of choice is the 10R80 10-speed automatic with the optional Tremec 6-speed manual, the same transmission found in the now defunct GT350. The perfect gearbox for those who still like to roll through the gears on their own. Final drive ratio is 355 for the automatic and 373 for the manual. The Mach 1 takes a few cues from the Shelby Mustangs to improve performance and durability, like the rear diff cooler, an engine oil cooler that increases capacity by 50%, and various suspension components. The Mach 1 rolls on 5-spoke wheels that are nice tributes to the classic Magnum 500 wheels, measuring 19 by 9.5 and 10s front and rear, sporting 255/40 and 275/40 Michelin Pilot Sport 4S rubber. The car rides on a Mach 1 tuned suspension with Magna Ride standard, featuring GT500 rear subframe with stiffer bushings as well as GT500 rear toe link. The front and rear sway bars have been thickened up by 1 millimeter for some additional stability, and stopping power comes from the tried and true 6-piston Brembo brakes with 15-inch front rotors, and the rear brakes benefit from extra ducting to route air for cooling. The interior is your standard Mustang interior, nothing particularly special as far as equipment goes. However, there's a cool shift knob and a few Mach 1 emblems. On the outside, the front fascia is very GT350-esque and really gives the car a good, aggressive look thanks to the front splitter. While a lot of people would have preferred to see a shaker scoop, the Ford engineers felt it was a bit too gimmicky and could have hurt performance routing too many air passages back and forth. But don't count out the aftermarket. You still may see one later. But let's be honest, in '69, the shaker came only on the 428, and even that was an option on that engine. It was available on more models in 1970, but disappeared entirely with the 71-73 Mustangs and didn't come back until 2003. However, the hood does utilize a pair of air extractors that resemble the ram air scoops from the 71-73 Mustangs. This resemblance is due in no small part to the Mach 1 stripe on the hood. The front grille includes a pair of cutouts that resembles the quad headlight setups for the 1969 Mustangs, but even more closely resembles the setup on the 2012-2013 Mustang Boss 302. It could possibly be used for air intakes for the engine or the brakes, or maybe a good spot for some additional driving lights. Other styling keys are the extra long rear diffuser that actually works to keep the rear plating to the ground, and it encloses the 4.5-inch diameter quad tip exhaust. The rear also sports rear spats lifted from the 2020 GT500 to further control the air going around the car. The trunk lid carries a small lip spoiler, while Mach 1 emblems adorn the front fenders and the rear fascia. Available colors are Iconic Silver, Shadow Black, Oxford White, Velocity Blue, Twister Orange, Race Red, and Grabber Yellow. The Mach 1 hood stripe accent is available in two colors, red and white. Now, there's also one other option for the Mach 1, and that's the appearance package. What you get with that package is an exclusive color called Fighter Jet Gray with orange accent stripes. To complement the appearance package, the wheels are upgraded from the 5 spokes to their spiderweb wheel, which look awesome. This appearance package is available for the standard or the handling package. If you opt for the handling package, the first thing you'll notice is that the package comes with a manual transmission only, no automatics allowed. The front end is upgraded with a much more aggressive front splitter that is complemented by the GT500 rear wing, complete with gurney flap. The suspension is tuned a bit more with a few minor changes that include quicker steering and swapping out the 24mm hollow rear sway bar for one that's identical in diameter but now completely solid. The wheels are widened to 10.5 in the front and 11 in the rear, wrapped in 305 and 315 Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires respectively. Also, just in case anyone is wondering, if you opt for the handling package with the appearance package, you get the cool spiderweb wheels in the extra wide sizes, just like the 5-spoke wheels. The new Mach 1 is coming out in spring of 2021, meaning that it's not available at the time of this video, so there aren't any performance numbers to be had as of yet. We can only speculate. Ford says that it'll be the fastest 5.0 Mustang ever released, which is no doubt the truth. If anyone is thinking of this car as a GT350 replacement, you'll be very disappointed, because it wasn't built to be that. The purpose of the Mach 1 is to replace the Bullet. What would have been neat to see is the 5.2 Voodoo engine mated with the Tremec dual-clutch 7-speed from the GT500. Now that would have been interesting. Be that as it may, the Mach 1 will still be a fast car. The improved aero will definitely be a major factor on the track at high speeds. It may be one of the most stable track Mustangs Ford has ever built. It's a handsome looking vehicle and will definitely be popular. It's not quite what the original Mach 1 was back in the day, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Ford has chosen to give the Mach 1 a bit more exclusivity and a reasonable level of performance compared to the original, in a way beginning a new chapter for the legacy of the Mach 1. This will probably be the last hurrah for the 6th generation Mustang before it sees Gen 7 in 2022 or 2023. The only model they haven't brought back was the Boss 429, but you never know. Ford may surprise us yet again.